Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. We're here heading into San Jose at our new interchange that we put in the last video, and that's where we're going to start off this video. So as you can see straight ahead, we have quite a bit of traffic slowly making its way around the roundabout, and the goal is to get this finally cleared up and running smoothly again. So here you can see this interchange. Again, we're going to try to get this freely flowing so that the cars aren't backed up out both ends of the highway, and then we're going to go around and fix up a few other problem areas, specifically with traffic, and then hopefully we will finally, by the end of the video, start seeing resources flowing into Sacramento from the line that we installed in the last video. So starting here at this interchange, I think the problem is very clear, and that this section of road is simply just too short, and so cars aren't able to fully queue up here and wait for the light. So then when the light does change, not that many cars are able to flow into the next segment of road. So I think this is maybe the shortest amount of road that we want, at least coming off of all of this. And then the issue just comes with figuring out where we want our other roads to connect back up again. And so I think, again, we're going to have to delete this road. We're going to have to pull it back pretty far, and unfortunately we're demolishing a good portion of the city here. But now that we've done that, we can add back in this 4-lane road. We'll keep it, well, I guess we don't need to keep player ownership on it, but we'll try to pull this out of the intersection here and then just connect it up to the road over here like it was before. So hopefully this still serves a pretty important purpose. We'll just have to keep an eye on it and make sure it's being used, but we can come through, reconnect a few of our roads, and then hopefully that should be all that we need to do with this intersection. And another good thing about having the road this long is it allows cars that are going to be turning left to have time to get over into the other lane, just allowing for slightly higher capacity in this area. Again, it's going to take a while for everything to start flowing through here as it slowly needs to work through the backup, but I think already it's getting a little bit better. As for the rest of the city, we still have some traffic here, which I hope is just remnants of the traffic we had before we added this new road. Because if we take a look here, we do have a decent amount of people now using this road, and these numbers have come back down from the mid 300s back down to about low 200s, like it was a little bit ago. And so as for traffic sort of in the center of the city, we'll sort of just have to wait and see how that evolves with all the recent changes that we've made to connections and interchanges just outside of the city. And so while we let this do its thing, let's go and check other areas of the city, or other areas of the map. And over in Downey, this is something that we've been needing to solve for quite a while here, and we can see we have a pretty bad traffic jam somewhere in here, and I'm not sure where this is all stemming from. It seems like everyone's trying to come up this way out of the city, and then it sort of just ends right about here. So we're gonna have to figure out what's causing this, and maybe we're just sort of stuck in gridlock here, and it could just be as simple as deleting a road or something along those lines. So if we take a look at our destinations layer inside of the city, nothing really pops out as being extremely significant or anything along those lines besides this road here, which I suppose that could be part of the problem, but the part that confuses me is all of these cars here. They're all sort of stuck down this way, so maybe we need to get rid of a few intersections to allow the cars to flow and free up some space. I'm not sure what's going on here, but that might be part of our traffic jam. So I suppose essentially what we need to do is we need to add a larger road that comes out in this direction that connects to this road, because I think a lot of the traffic is coming from people trying to turn right onto this small street, and then they're really not able to get that many cars through there just because it's a small 2-lane street. So I'm not sure how the best way to go about making this connection will be. There's a few ways we could do it. Some just simply upgrading this road, but if we do that, we don't really get anywhere significant with that unless we angled it or curved it up. I think maybe our best chance at doing something like that is to maybe delete those roads, and then we'll get a 4-lane road that comes up and connects here, but this is too steep, as you can see. So maybe we need to get rid of some more streets. Again, even this is still too steep. And we can get a road in like this, but this just doesn't really feel right doing a connection like that. So maybe we make the connection closer to up here. So let's pause, and we'll be getting rid of that bus station temporarily, but maybe doing something like this might fit a little better. The road isn't quite as steep, but it's still getting there. And then there's also a connection that we could make here. Now, the only thing about moving it up this far is we'll want to make sure that whatever we build here is faster than this small road connection like that, or else cars aren't going to use it. So we'll roll with this for now. We'll have to come through and fix some of the terrain, but we'll redo some of the roads and grids, and hopefully we should see that this maybe works. If not, we might just have to stick with upgrading this road and go with it. And so another thing to note, we did replace this road just because adding this large road here made the slope pretty unrealistic going up this way. So hopefully this starts to function pretty well. We'll continue to keep an eye on it, but I think really the only thing we can do now at this moment is just pretty much wait and see if the changes that we made helps out at all. And so taking a look at some other cities, Mesa actually looks really good, which is surprising considering the amount of trouble that we had with it before. Granted, some of that could just be because of all the traffic in Downey. A lot of the private transportation might be stuck and not able to make it to the city, which is why if we take a look here, Mesa has almost no traffic, but that's something we'll have to continue to keep an eye on, but hopefully we have the city of Mesa figured out for the time being. And lastly, coming over to Santa Clarita, the traffic over here seems to finally be cleared out pretty well. We no longer have a huge line of cars trying to get onto this one-way street. We do, however, have a good amount of traffic of cars trying to enter the city. So let's see if maybe there's some way we can help with that. And so one thing that I just tried that actually really seemed to open this up was to turn both of these roads into one-way streets, so that this road is directly connected to the right lane, and then this left road is directly connected to the left lane, and then I believe they can merge or switch lanes as they go down this road. So it seems like that solution does it pretty well. The only issue is now we have to figure out how we're going to make these one-way roads look good, because we've sort of designed our builds around here for the two-lane roads, and if you can see here, switching down to the one-way street doesn't really look the best, especially when you get into some of these other areas. But this might actually not look too bad. I think it might mainly just be repainting a lot of this, since some of the exposed grass is coming out. So we'll just have to come through with a pretty small brush and then just repaint asphalt in a lot of these areas. And then we can just come through with another really small smoothing brush and just smooth out the slope between the edge of the road and the buildings and terrain around it. Alright, so actually after keeping an eye on this, it didn't actually seem to really fix our traffic problem. It just sort of moved it. So instead of these trucks coming up to this road and then coming over, they're all coming up, over, and then back around. So now the large majority of our traffic is using this road, which is not necessarily what we wanted. So again, I'm not too sure how we go about fixing that. We can maybe try to delete this road and then see if maybe we can just get a longer one-way road through here. However, the issue with this road is that we can't have both of these lanes turning right. We can't sort of force them to turn right for some reason. We could upgrade it to a 3-lane road, and I believe that would help out. But I'm just not sure if that's really what we want to try to do. I mean, we can, if we just cancel this, we can try to add that in here right alongside this truck station that we have. And so we could build this here and it still looks pretty natural, but what this should do is, I believe, allow for this lane to maybe split, although it looks like that even doesn't do much in terms of helping, because as you can see, you can sort of see by the slight tire tracks on the road where the cars are able to go, and our issue is getting this lane to be able to merge into these right turn lanes, and for some reason we're just not able to get that to happen, and that's where all of our issues are stemming from. Alright, so something that I found is extending this road now allows these cars to merge. So you can see here it's able to switch lanes now, and so now we have cars using both of these roads again. And I guess that's as close to a solution that we're gonna find for this issue. So really, I guess it's just making this all look good and neat again. And so we'll downgrade this road to be a one-way road. We could actually probably delete it and remake that connection so it's a little bit smoother. Here the traffic light is turned off, which is what we want. And then really the last thing I think we need to do is just make this area look good, which shouldn't be too hard. I think really we'll just leave this as grass and the city can fill it in with buildings. We'll just have to clean up the edge here. So we can just simply grab this eraser brush and we'll just bring this right up to the edge of the fence. So we'll come back and see how this works later on, so we can continue moving around. I don't want to adjust line rates on these lines just because they could have been stuck in traffic, and now opening all these roads might change that. So we'll come back and see how things change in Santa Clarita. Alright, and then as we're coming over to check up on Sacramento and the resources it's getting, we do have a good amount of traffic sort of stuck on this hill trying to make its way up. So let's see if maybe there's something we can do to help with that. And I think it should just be as simple as reducing the number of intersections on this road. So we'll pretty much lock this road pretty much until here, as it seems like a lot of the traffic sort of spawns right about in this area. So that could be enough to fix our problems, really. As we can see, there's not really traffic this far into the city, so I think maybe there was just a few too many stops on the way up. The solution could be as simple as that. We'll have to keep an eye on it. It'd be nice if we could maybe get a connection somewhere over here that leads maybe to a more cut off section of the city, but I'm not really sure how best we'd be able to do that. So then lastly, for our traffic problems, we have this area here in Scottsdale, which looks to be maybe a little better since we added some of these connecting roads, but it definitely could be sort of emptying out quicker. And so I'm not sure why all of our buses are sort of bunched up near this station. I think maybe it could just be due to they were all jammed up and they recently got unstuck, because I did do a few small changes in this area off camera, and it seems like that might have loosened up our bus network after they were all sort of stuck in this area. I just don't think this is a great area for this bus station to be at, because there's not really any space on either end for buses to easily come and go. And I'm not too sure if there's a better way for us to orient this station here, or if it just needs relocated entirely. And just taking a look at some of these lines and the frequency that they have, nothing seems to be too crazy. They all sort of sit in the 50 to 60 second range, which, as we can see here, I think they're sort of out of sync on their line since we have so many. The only one that maybe could afford to change is this one that is sort of our main loop that connects to the train station. But I kind of like this being a slightly higher frequency line because it is so in demand. If we see here, that is by far our most overloaded station. And there is an argument to be made that we don't necessarily need as many buses on these other lines, so I think maybe we can get rid of one or two of them per line, and that might help a little bit more, but that still doesn't fully solve our private transportation traffic problem. So I think to help us sort of get to the bottom of this, we can take a look at our destinations layer, and although it gets a little hard to read, we can see that it almost splits the demand 50-50 between going straight at this intersection and turning right. And I think that's overloading the right lane, because here we can see the left lane can only turn left on this street, which is pretty interesting. I thought maybe the left lane would be able to go straight as well. So one part of the solution could just be adding a bus lane here, and that should, although I guess it's too steep, so we can't even really fix that problem. So I guess another way that we can fix that is by making some of this area more efficient so that maybe there's a shortcut that people can use to essentially cut through the city a little easier. So I think we'll roll with that, as this area is pretty messy to begin with. We'll try to keep our areas where we have bus stops and other things, but we can do that. And now that this whole area is cleaned out, we should be able to come through and add a pretty logical grid to this area so that things continue to flow normally. Alright, and so I think this layout helps to serve us a little bit better. I'm not sure if we have to lock any of the roads, as things should be close enough that the city doesn't need to do that. But I think the hope is that this road will now become sort of a viable shortcut for cars to come through and get more into this area of the city instead of coming all the way down to this intersection and then turning. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but that should be the goal with this. And so I don't really know of any other better ways that we can help this traffic flow through these intersections without doing a complete sort of demo and rebuild of this section of the city. Same thing with the bus station. I'm not too sure of a better area that we can put it without completely changing where it's located at. But I think for now we'll be good, and we'll just have to check up on it frequently. Alright, so now that we potentially have that all fixed up, let's head over to Stockton and see if our new line is getting resources. And so we don't see anything here yet, but if we check the charts, we can see it has loaded resources, and those have continuously gone up over the recent years. So that definitely shows that there is demand for this, and it's slowly working its way down the supply chain. These boats are now getting a little bit fuller, and hopefully we'll start to turn a profit if they weren't already, since now they're serving 2 cities worth of resources instead of just 1. But then actually coming up to Sacramento, I think if we check some of these trucks, they might have some resources, or at least some of them might have had some in the past. Such as right here, this truck is full of food, which is good to see. The one behind it has some goods and food. So very slowly resources are starting to make their way into Sacramento. So we definitely want to be prepared for all of this traffic, which I don't think this is getting any better. So let's see if there's anything we can do to fix this. So I think in order to help the city, we'll build in some roads that hopefully should help out with this. So our first connection is going to be from here. We're going to follow somewhat close to this cliff edge, and then I think we'll just drag this right up to this intersection, and then maybe from here we might be able to, well, I guess we can't go up steep enough to make that connection. Even over here, this is still a little too steep. So I don't think we're going to get a road connection off of there. I think maybe it could be a good idea to bring a road off of here somewhere, connect up to this road, and then continue to go around and connect up somewhere over here. But you can see that this is a very steep road, so it'll probably have to curve more out and around this way. And it seems like we can do this. We might be able to move it over just a little bit, and we'll have to adjust the road so we get this just right. Alright, and so we got this connection made, which is really just in hopes of getting people to turn left earlier, so that'll get some cars in the left lane, and get them up and into this area of the city a little bit quicker. If we take a look at our destinations, it's kind of helping. I mean, there's really not much up here at the moment, so I guess this is more future-proofing, if anything. but I think we really need a connection coming off of the right lane that gets them somewhere into a more significant area of the city. And so I think actually right about here might be a good opportunity to go underground, and we have a good amount of space before we reach this road. I think we'll try to aim to connect somewhere here, but if we just bring this down and around, and we try to keep it at a reasonable slope, so I think we'll come off maybe about here-ish. We'll want this to go up a little bit. We're not going to go too crazy straight away, but we'll change the tunnel entrance to something like that, and then hopefully we can just click and connect those two segments. That is a little bit of a steep road, so maybe we'll pull this back one more segment and try to connect them this way. I mean, I guess considering the hill, there's not really much you can do, so we'll build that, and hopefully we'll start to see cars taking a right turn, and hopefully that'll free up some more of this traffic. And so almost immediately this road is proving to be very beneficial as a connection through the city. We'll have to see how well this actually works, but hopefully it doesn't completely deplete the use of this road, because if it does, we might have to change it, because then this road will become an immediate problem since it empties out into an area that's not really the best for traffic. Alright, so the last thing that we're going to do is come through here and adjust some of these lines, as we can see a lot of these stations are sitting empty, which means our trucks aren't making us money for these trips, and our nearest train is still a little bit away from the station, so I think maybe just shaving off one or two trucks from each line should be good enough. Now, the only line I might say different is this Downey fuel line, because we only have 4 trucks running on it. This could be that these trucks are stuck in traffic. I didn't mean to sell that one, so we'll duplicate this and get 5 trucks. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But so now let's go through all of what we've done and see the effects of it. And so this intersection here is completely empty now, and it seems like traffic is flowing just fine into San Jose. We do still have some traffic here on this main road, but I think that's to be expected, as the rest of the city seems to be going pretty well if we zoom out. So I'm very happy with how we're able to function this way now. Coming into Downey though, it seems like things have only gotten worse. So this is definitely our biggest issue at the moment, and it's a pretty tough one. I'm not exactly sure how to go about fixing this. I suppose we can try to do more bus connections, but we have a pretty robust bus network between each of these cities, so I'm not really sure how best we can do it. Maybe Downey just needs more connections outside of the city. Maybe it needs a more like intertwined web of roads. Although this could be causing us a problem, as well as all of this happening in here. So maybe we will come through and lock all these roads, as those are causing us more issues than good. Now, there are some areas that have cleared up, such as over here. This area is looking a little bit better, but for some reason everything over here is still a pretty bad mess, and again, nothing's really clearing out past these intersections. So maybe it was the roads that were here. I'm not sure about that, but in the meantime, we'll leave this area here while we think about more solutions, because there is definitely more to be done with this city. However, looking at our other cities that we worked on, Santa Clarita seems to be doing pretty well, and seems like we might just be stuck with the tail end of traffic issues that were here before. Everything seems to be flowing much better here now, which is very nice and exactly what we want to see. And then coming into Santa Clarita yet again, we're still stuck with traffic sort of on these roads here, and it sort of comes and goes as you get farther out. So again, this is another area where there's a solution somewhere, we just haven't come to it yet. So this is another area that we'll have to keep an eye on. Now, one thing that we haven't really looked at or done is take a look at any new buses that we have. So let's start off here with some of these longer buses that might just be filling space at this bus station, and see if maybe there's just a better bus somewhere that we can use. And so there's definitely a few options in here that we can go with. I don't necessarily want to go down in capacity, so maybe a bus like this might work out pretty well. Taking a look at our other options, they get pretty big and pretty long, which if we did switch these, we could probably afford to get rid of maybe half of the buses that we have on these lines. So it could be worth it in terms of just bringing down our frequency. So we'll do a little experiment. We'll try with these buses. So we'll replace all of these buses and we'll sell a good portion of them, since we now have much better capacity on those. And if we take a look at the line, the frequency is much lower now, so that should help out. We'll just do the same thing on the reverse direction buses. So we'll sell these, and I think we'll leave it like that for now. These new buses are pretty interesting, and so I think when we get back to improving our public transportation network, we'll really start to get into those. But for now, I think that's all that we'll be doing in this video. And so with that, I think that'll be all for this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.